Welcome back, tribe. I got one here that is titled Indian Fatigue, the issue spreading across the world. It got posted 2 days ago. It's nearly got 200,000 views. Let's get into it. India bros, what are you doing to Canadians? This should be interesting.
Indian fatigue. A growing sense of frustration and exhaustion felt by many Canadians, including people from a variety of ethnic backgrounds, in response to disruptive behavior.
You guys can't
or
hear the sad
controversial
music playing
practices
right now, but
associated with certain segments of the Indian immigrant community.
okay. Jesse bros, what have you done?
This feeling often stems from Canadian cultural norms being repeatedly disregarded.
Cool intro.
Just
Okay.
because you have a passport does not make you Canadian. Many people from India living in the country that don't share our values, our culture, or our history. They live in isolated enclaves, speak their own languages, fly foreign flags, and raise their kids with values disconnected from Canadian society. That's not assimilation. It's occupation by culture. They benefit from our systems, public sector jobs, welfare, and diversity quotas, but give nothing back to the soul of this nation. No shared heritage, no loyalty to Canadian traditions, just entitlement and identity politics. They're in Canada, but they're not Canadian.
I think people are starting to wake up just how tribal we are. You know, when you had, I hate to say it, but when you had white migrants coming over to Canada because it was a white country, so from other European nations coming over and assimilating, and you look the same and you have similar cultures already, integration was fairly easy. So even if they were taking in a large amount of, let's just say, European migrants, assimilation was a breeze. Same European cultures, very similar. European languages, the same religion, everything. It's much harder, for example, like me, to go and try to integrate into Thai culture in Thailand. I don't look like them. I don't believe anything they believe in. I would have to switch everything. I don't even have ties to them as like, say, person to person of what their historical struggles were, because it has nothing to do with Europe. You know, like a Frenchman or a Brit or an Italian or whatever, a German can go to Canada, assimilate, and it's like, look at all the shared history we have from the country we come from to the country we immigrated to. Like, I could go to talk to a Canadian bro that's originally from England, and then I could be a brand new arrival from France, but we have shared history there. Look at all the wars France and the UK has fought. Look at, the people and all that stuff. Christian background. We practically look the same. Shit like that. This kind of stuff helps with integration into countries. That's why it's really hard to make this lateral move into countries that you have nothing in common with. It's beautiful. It's beautiful for the novelty of it being so different than what you're used to. But dude, integration is much more difficult. We're seeing this happen at a societal scale with Europe importing mass Arab and North Africans in general, just Africans and Middle Easterners in general, where the culture clash is so extreme that you form your own parallel societies. And they'll never be a part of your culture. Like the culture quite literally we're seeing is being replaced, especially in mass. When you bring in a few little here and they're truly a minority here and there with high skills, typically by the time of their children, they're fully assimilated in because that's the dominant culture. But now you brought in a mass amount of people that don't need to assimilate into a new country, which their culture stays preserved in the new country by, via the parallel society they formed, the parallel towns and cities, Chinatown, little Japan, little blah, blah, Tokyo, all this stuff, right? Little Armenia, everywhere. You have these little communities that don't need to blend in, for example, just some names. And that leads to two cultures competing simultaneously, and that competition is adversarial by nature within the host nation, which causes the destabilization. It's us versus them. We're different from them. As opposed to you get a little bit of migrants coming in and assimilating to the larger whole of the culture. This is where Europe and America messed up. America around the 1965 Immigration Act, Europe right now with the mass migration after the Syrian civil war destabilization, started opening up the doors to massive amounts, millions, tens of millions of migrants where the demographics in certain towns just shift overnight. That's you cannot assimilate people that way. It's the cause of destabilization, rising crime, friction, cultural friction, violence, all that stuff. That's just the reality. We have been living in the last 20, 30 years in some like progressive utopia hellhole where we're not allowed to even speak about topics like this because you're branded as racist or as an extremist, as a bigot. But we know this to be true. I, as a first-generation immigrant to the United States, currently in the United States, can tell you that mass migration isn't good based on what I've seen. I can tell you that not all immigrants are good immigrants anyways. I can tell you that there should be stricter rules for what migrants, immigrants, I don't care what you call them, aliens, I don't care the name. You shouldn't be able to cross into a country without the right paperwork. You need to be tested every couple of years for proficiency of the language. You need to be tested for jobs, right? Like, are you employed? Are you paying into the system? If you're not employed by like 6 months in, get out. 1 year in, get out. Sorry, your visa doesn't get renewed. Your application is then denied. Like, you have to show that you want to belong here. And anyways, with the amount of mass migration we have, I don't know how you turn back this shit show. We're in a deep world of hurt, man.
And pretending otherwise is a lie that is tearing apart this country.
Hey, where did all the Canadians go? The GTA does not look like Canada anymore.
And by the way, mass migration does have a upward pressure on housing prices. Housing availability goes down. Cost is already out of control. And wages are stagnant. If you look at, I got to do more research on this, but all the graphs point that around the 60s, wages began their suppression. They weren't keeping up with inflation. Prices of housing and everything else was rising. And it was the 1965 Immigration Act and the amount of immigrants that America had started importing and how wages pretty much depressed. I mean, for a company, for a corporation, it was incredible. Can you imagine all this cheap labor coming into your country where you could keep wages at the bare minimum federally that you needed to? There's a lot of issues that stem from really bad policy, and it's causing divisions in society today. This is why we have the cultural disconnect between, I guess you could say, the races or ethnicities, precisely because too many came too quickly, didn't integrate well enough, and that there's not even ample opportunity for everybody. So when you do come here, you're still struggling. And now the natives are also starting to struggle. It's insane.
Or like the third world countries out there. Now, when I say Canadians, I mean Canadians, not like color of their skin, the people that adopted the Canadian culture. This can be all races, including white people, brown people, black people, yellow people. I don't know how many colors there are. As long as they adapted the Canadian culture, they're not pushing some third world country kind of, behavior. That's good. Right now I'm in Caledon, and Caledon is also becoming Little India, I guess. And I don't want that. I just want to be in Canada because this is Canada. And I love Indian people. Obviously, I'm Indian. Well, I'm born here. My parents are Indian. But the truth is, as long as they don't adapt the Canadian ways, it just looks dumb. I've been to India. I don't want that to be over here. Sure, it's okay for like a month because I was there for a month. Like I can, adapt to that style. But when you come here, I want to go back to Canada. Anyway, let me know. What do you all think about this? Where should I go? Caledon, Caledon's not that great. Maybe Caledon East. But yeah, where is it where it's more Canadian culture? Doesn't matter the cult, like their background, as long as it's Canadian.
This video goes out to the people that tell me that I and other Canadians have to learn to accept the new way of doing things. We have to start taking jobs for less money. We have to stop being so demanding on work conditions. We have to learn how to settle for less. I say f*** you, okay? I say f*** you. We spent years and years and years fighting for the lifestyle that we have in this country.
That's a good argument because I hear a lot of immigrants talking about, well, Americans are lazy. Americans don't even work hard. There's a half truth in that. Also, the other side for Americans is they fought to have a good wage for the country they're living in. You coming in here because you came from an absolute dump of a shithole where you were living with 10 people in one room bunked up does not make you better. Just because you're willing to stack 50 fucking people in one house with 30 cars on the driveway when it's only supposed to have 2 doesn't make you a better person. You accept less because you come from a culture that accepts less. That's why your country is less. That's why you left, because the mentality of the people there, and I say this all the time when I speak off camera to my woman about the Balkan mentality, the Romanian mentality, the reason that country looks the way it does is because the mentality of the people. It's more primitive They accept less. I say this as, just comparing Europeans amongst themselves, like the Balkans versus the Nordics versus, Germanics, Italians, the Western Europe in general. Like it's all split in slightly different ways, but the functioning of the society is a result of the mental acuity of the people, what they're willing to accept. Yes, the average German is smarter than the average Romanian. The average Scandinavian is much more advanced mentally than the average Romanian. I say this as a Romanian myself because I see what my people are like. I see what they think, how they react to situations, how they plan for the future. They accept the corruption in the government. They want to partake in the corruption themselves to benefit themselves. There's more selfish attitudes and behavior. Is that innate? Well, I can't speak to the innate part. Because looking back at the culture and what they had to deal with, say post-World War II, either got the Nazis invading you or the Soviet Union, and then communism ended up winning in Eastern Europe and then destroyed basically all Eastern Europe, is working its way back into catching up with the West, and the mentality of corruption and shit that's so endemic in Russia and all that spread from the Soviet Union. Like there wasn't real governments, it was dictators and massive amounts of corruption and bootlicking and all that stuff. So the people grew up with this mentality. Is it changing? Yes, slowly. It doesn't excuse the fact that still it is in the situation that it's in because this mentality of the people, they accept less. They're used to less. They're used to suffering. So when you come from these third world countries and you say some shit like, Americans are lazy. I lived with 10 of my brothers and we are all working minimum wage and we all blah, blah, blah. Yes, because you come from a culture where that was the only way forward. That doesn't mean it's right. That doesn't mean you should be doing that here. You should have the same demands an American has. If you're trying to be like an American, you shouldn't be accepting minimum wage. It's not even minimum. It's less than what you would need to survive. Just because you huddled up with 10 dudes for fucking 20 years to finally get something. Yes, that's one way to do it. Does it work? Of course, there's half-truths and everything. Everybody should sacrifice a little more. But also, we shouldn't have to sacrifice as much as we are. We shouldn't accept the boot on our throats as much as we are to get a little bit. Times were better before for the average person. You could survive and thrive, on a much better salary for one person. The American dream, and that's gone now. That's just what the people are saying. That's what this guy is saying. Because I guarantee he's probably had the conversation, and I've heard it myself from other immigrants. How they think they're better than Americans are so lazy. Like they don't start businesses, they don't do anything. Then why the fuck are you in their country? I get offended for Americans. Why are you here then? Go back to the fucking shithole. You don't want, the wages are too low. The government's too corrupt. There's trash everywhere. You just can't get ahead there. You're getting taxed to death. So Americans are better than you then. That's my view on it. As a first-gen immigrant, I'm fully all in America first. So I'm just saying, I defend America much harder than most, even Americans, because I know what it's like out in the real world when you step outside the fucking bubble. And these people that get to step in this beautiful bubble, no country's perfect. I'm not glazing. Okay, there's trade-offs. Like I've said before on the channel, nowhere is perfect. You will have trade-offs no matter where you go. But in general, I rather have America's trade-offs. For example, I was living in Romania for a couple of years, and what happened in those couple of years? Elections got annulled by France. They don't even have a real fucking president. They're on Russia's doorstep with the Ukraine war, which Europe's pushing more of. So they can't even handle that situation. Taxes is rising. The government is running a massive deficit. So is America, but deficit for different reasons. America's got a spending problem. Big Daddy just keeps spending and printing money and buying up a bunch of useless shit, right? Romania is going into a huge budget deficit because they're just trying to pay pensioners and all this other corrupt shit that doesn't matter just to get votes. And then raising taxes. So you give people more money for their pensions, but then you raise taxes on everybody else. Already, I think you have to work. They did a study in Romania, guys. This is how fucked up it is. I think you work 18 days out of the month, if not more, just to pay taxes out of your salary. Something like that crazy. Don't quote me on the exact numbers, but I know it's over half of the month you have to work for taxes alone. Get the fuck out of here.
We spent years struggling to get rates and wages up to where they should be, trying to get minimum wage increased all the time, and it's still not anywhere near high enough, but we're still working on it. A lifestyle is not something you're gifted. It's something that you work hard and you fight for, and we've reached this pinnacle in our lives, and you want us to dial it back because other people that are coming here are prepared to do that?
Yeah.
I ain't dialing. Shouldn't have to.
My God, this is so funny. Their actions have brought the biggest downfall for each and everyone who was living there peacefully, were also born and brought up. Now, I don't care about the people who are actually being brought up over here according to the Western standards. Is the people like us, the immigrants who came into this country and never decided to change ourselves. Ever. We just went ahead and told ourselves, like, what a piece of shit I was back home. I'm going to be the same piece of shit over here and bring everyone down. Today, the scenario is that no one actually bloody likes Indian people. You walk around somewhere, they see you with a bad eye because they know that we people are criminals, we people are the scammers, and we people are a piece of shit. Because
Jace.
anywhere we go, we make the biggest mess possible, bring everyone down who has been into these Western countries, have built them up from the scratch. And why do I say that? Because I'm an immigrant myself. I'm an Indian myself. And whoever listening this, like, no, you don't give up about it because how you used to treat people back home, the smaller communities, have you forgotten that? You never used to sit with them, eat with them, talk with them, what your government and private schools were like. And you're complaining here that people are racist towards you. They are not racist. They are real with you. They have to show your ground because you are bloody not going to change. It's for everyone, man. It is so hard for me that I'm also filtered out in this, and it's okay. Because again, once you make up a...
You see, this is the shopping cart test in action with these lower cultures. Look, and I have to call them lower cultures, just like I do Romania. Romanian culture is more primitive compared to the West. That's why the country looks the way it does. No hate, it's just real. Or else you wouldn't be throwing trash in the middle of fucking nowhere just because you can. Look at this car here. He's cutting the line instead of waiting. The mentality is, I don't have to wait. Let me just drive up on this curb because my time's more important. Rules don't matter as long as I get to save a couple of seconds in traffic because I'm more important than everybody else. There is no civility in it. It's exactly evident in all of society when you're looking around.
Of things become bad. I'm not saying anything about the people who are doing amazing over here, trying to adjust, learning the norms, guiding themselves up to the better future. But it's for the people who are always the troublemakers. And these are the ones that have been imported into a garbage sector. They're everywhere, man. And I'm so pissed because it's my people itself like that tend to come forward and behave in a way that they are kings because they came forward before us. They actually go ahead and rob us. They cheat with us, don't pay us the wages, treat us like... So imagine what's going to happen with you. You think, oh, you just going to be safe doing all of this? Your karma is also coming, guys. If you do not change, you just bring your bullshit. Congratulations, everyone is going to hate on you. We'll see in another 5 or 6 years what's going to happen. You're so proud of your community itself that they are doing good and this and that. We'll see how many people are going to go and help you. Because at the end of the day, everyone in these Western countries, they just work for themselves and their families. There's no one else. They're not going to help you. If you're just relying on those things just because you belong to the same community and the part, congratulations, you are the biggest piece of symbol. Hope this helps.
Is this happening near you? What's your experience with Indian fatigue?
Jeez, what are the comments? We gotta go look at these. Canadians are just fed up. This is Canada, not India. It's crazy to me how Canada was conquered without a single shot ever being fired. Why are they allowed to only hire their own people? Why do our laws not apply to them? Their entitlement and arrogance is on another level. Indian fatigue was way past the breaking point 10 years ago. They're loud, smell a certain way apparently, and don't respect our customs, our basic rules of decorum, yet at the same time act entitled like they're landed gentry. Why are the people from India allowed to discriminate against Canadians? Want to rent? Conditions conditions. You must speak Punjabi, vegetarian, girls only. This is blatant discrimination, yet our government allows it. Wow. As an Indian who still lives in India, we Indians are also pissed at our own citizens. They don't listen and do whatever pleases them. What bothers me the most is that my employer, who is Indian, only hires Indian people. I sometimes feel like I'm in India. The way they talk, the way they dress, the way they manage their system. Totally dishonest, unethical, and unprofessional. There you go. I live in Pickering, and I hate how none of them use turn signals. As a pedestrian, if I'm about to cross the street and I notice a car with the turn signal on, about to turn, I will always point for them to go ahead. But almost daily here, I will go to cross the street. A car will be arriving at the same time without a turn signal on, so I will start to cross the street. And every effing time they will turn into me, slam on the brakes, and then start road raging at me. Drives me effing insane. Yeah. Look how quick the change happens. I visited Toronto once in 2019 and again in 2024. What the heck? The population of them exploded in the mere 5 years. What happened in Canada? There you go. We're not headed in the correct direction. This is only going to get worse. These governments are clearly impotent. They don't manage the countries properly. They can't even manage the decline properly. So we need real leadership, and we have to turn the spigot off on this kind of stuff. It's very easy to reverse, actually. You just make sensible rules that say you must be integrating, you must learn the language, you must speak it proficiently, fluently, and you must have a job and pay taxes into the system. You can't get any refunds. If you're an immigrant, you have to pay into taxes. You are barred from refunds for like 10 years, amongst some other things. Like you have to pay extra to be here. And that's fine. That's them paying their way into being citizens and living on the country, because they're fresh arrivals. They don't have not even just roots, but what they don't have is generations, hell, even the last 20, 30 years of paying into a system. Like, let's just say if you're a native and your parents paid into the system for their last 50 years of life, then you already have like a stake that you've already contributed in that sense. Yeah, anyways, Canada bros, curious. What's going on over there? How are you feeling? Yo, it's crushing it in 2 days. And Desi bros, comment, please. Thoughts about your own people and the stuff you're seeing. If you live up there, we'll see you guys on the next one.